Lots of people come to God through contact with the devil. That's for sure.
Here's the neuroscience of this. Okay, so the way we form memories includes like areas of the hippocampus that kind of store those memories temporarily and then kind of install them in whatever areas they're going to end up doing their particular thing. And that gives us a mapping of the world. So when we're born, we tend to be more trusting and we believe, that things are going to be all right and all that. And we go around exploring, and as we explore, we build a map of the world. And in that map of the world, there's a lot of representations, right? There's representations of space, there's representations of people, there's representations of animals, there's representations of all sorts of things. Then, one big jolly day, the day stops being jolly out of the blue, and you meet malevolence. And malevolence is a rare thing, but it's around. The devil's around. There is evil around in the block. So you meet someone who has malign intentions, and because humans are the most intelligent in the apex species, it is to a great extent, it is the greatest danger that we apes were ever likely to encounter in our evolutionary time. So when you meet someone who has malevolent intentions, when you meet someone who has significant personality disorder, for example, when you meet someone who betrays your trust, betraying your trust is actually the most common case. When you meet someone who betrays your trust, what happens in your brain at a cognitive level is you switch from I know who this person is, I know where I am, to I don't know who this person is, and I don't even know where I am anymore. Especially if the person who betrayed you is a very close person, a close relative, a spouse, someone you love in some capacity, or children, or something like that. So what's happening in the underlying brain structures is once you get a notification that there's basically been an update on the map of the world, and that thing that you thought was once trustworthy turned out to be a snake, the devil, betrayal, evil, something really nasty. That means that your entire system of mapping was wrong, right? Because you got yourself to that place. Somehow you trusted that person. Maybe you made a mistake along the way. Maybe in the process of mapping, you kind of just, you did like a surface scanning of the area and you didn't really get what was going on. But as it turned out, that was very important, right? Because that betrayal is going to cost you a lot. It's going to cost you in future value expectation a lot. So you get like jolts and jolts of many different hormones and neurotransmitters that are going to cause you enormous pain. And that pain is going to be associated with the idea that the mapping system you've been using is wrong. And it's time to do a new mapping. This happens in lower mammals too, right? When they encounter a danger that wasn't predicted. So if you have a rat that has never seen a cat ever in its life before, and then you have the rat like living in a big house, like in a big space, and having a good time, and then you show them a cat for the first time, they go freaking berserk. It's the same process. Because what you told the rat basically is, you live in a world where there are giant, feline, hideous dangers that you didn't know about, and you better find out before one of them eats you, right? You better figure out the exact reasons that these feline creatures have, where they're coming from, where's the door, who brought them here, what's going on. Like, you have to remap the concept of safety, of neutrality, and of danger into your entire environment. You have to rebuild a map of the world. With humans, much more complex, but same kind of idea system. You have to remap the entire way you structure reality and how you think about the world in the presence of evil, right? There's a million personality differences on average between people who are more conservative and people who are more liberal. But one of the main transitional modes for people is that. So, for example, on a psychological level, much of my transition from, I guess, naturally like liberal, left leaning ish, more libertarian, I guess, to okay, I have to like actually examine everything that the Republicans are saying and everything that the Christians are saying and everything that Trump is saying and all of that, is because I saw, I brought a feminist into my household. I was running a house of like 15 people, and I brought a feminist into my household. And within 4 days, or 3 days, within 4 days, she accused three guys of sexual assault, and she caused absolute havoc in the community. And then later I found out that like this was actually the plan all along. She was trained by one of those departments of gender evil. And her plan was coming in, and we were part of a bigger community of people. So she actually came in order to accuse one of the alpha males of the community of being abusing his wife. So like that is literally what the agenda is. Like that is how the plan works. And I had never seen evil of that kind, right? Like a person who, like, she literally would wake up with a smirk, writing down in her diary the names of the men whose lives she was going to destroy. And I'm like, okay, this is different, right? Like, this isn't something I've seen in the first 25 years. And this person is here to, like, wreak havoc on reality. And she is a different kind of malignancy. That's actually what led me to, studying the history of feminism and studying a lot more about American politics. And if you see in many of my videos when I talk about the cancer of feminism, like the reason why I have so much conviction and so much knowledge about that is in part because I had to do that like extraordinarily nuanced mapping of 100 years, 100 and something years of history. Not because, but because I needed to understand like how can a person become the thing that she was, right? Like how can a person become that dangerous? How can a person become that evil? Because I was basically a rat that was, for the first time I saw a scorpion, and I'm like, okay, I need to know everything about this before one freaking stings me, right? And that's why I know more about feminism than most people. Um, and in my case, it switched me in politics, but my natural disposition genetically and through personality, because it's extremely high openness and extraordinarily low conscientiousness, I couldn't stay in the right wing for long because you kind of just drift back to what your personality is. But for people who have a more average, more normal personality, one of the ways to do that is, you plaster the Bible or God or some religious form of organization of that mapping or religious community, and through that you basically use your hippocampus to remap the entire world. And now you apply an extra label, right? Like before you were like, well, that's a pine tree, that's a lion, that's a flower, that's that's a rat, that's whatever. Now you have all these labels, but you also have, and this is evil, and this is good, and this has some probability of evil, and this has some probability of good. One way to test that, if you currently believe that there isn't really evil, that everyone is like naturally good or something like that, is because you haven't been through that transition. You're also very, very likely to be more Democrat if you haven't been through the transitional process. So yeah, so that's what he meant by encountering the devil that people end up meeting God. Is basically once you see something that completely defies the way in which your primate uh, brain scan the concept of danger in your environment, you are obligated to reorganize and rescan the entire structure. And it's easier to do, especially if you're not like extraordinarily high in IQ. If you're like a normal IQ range, like not Jordan Peterson, but like a normal college student or something like that. Yeah, so it's much easier to do that if you have a template for how to do it, and then linguistic, religious, and Manichaeistic language helps you, gives you the right affordances for you to be able to speak about these kinds of things. And then you can understand them, then you can emotionally process them, and also you learn how to navigate the world, and you avoid being taken out by the devil in the future.